So my drug of choice was methamphetamines, and I never thought it was alcohol, but I think alcohol had a lot to do with it. Um, I started smoking crank when I was 15 years old, and it started because I was the type of person like I got really bullied and stuff during school, and I just kind of wanted to fit in. And when I got into high school, like the people that I would hang out with, little did I know, well, they came from broken homes and stuff too. So it caused me to connect with them, but then they also did drugs. So the first time I did drugs was when I was 15, and from there it just progressively got worse. All of the opportunities I had to go to school, I kind of threw them away because I thought doing drugs was better. So there was classes that I took like when I was a sophomore, and they followed all the way through till when I was a senior, and I failed them my senior year because I was on drugs. So after I graduated, I was supposed to go to like U of A, ASU, Art College in San Diego, and Art Institute of San Diego. That's what it was. And I didn't go because I thought getting high was more important. I was scared of leaving. So all of the opportunities I had, I lost them because I was doing drugs. And after that, when I graduated high school, I would still go to college, but I would go on campus and I would be high. So I never would go to any of my classes. So I ended up dropping out, and that's when it started getting even more real. Like I thought it was more important for me to go and impress the dope man or the dope lady. And the only reason that they sent me out there is because I was a fresh face with no record. So when I was out there, I was learning how to sell drugs. I was doing every drug that you could think of just to see how it would affect me. So, I mean, I did meth, smoked weed, did crank, did cocaine, smoked crack, I did mushrooms, I did acid, anything just to see the effect, but I would always go back to smoking meth and smoking marijuana and drinking. After a long time, it caused me to be separated from my family because I felt like they didn't love me because of the drugs. But in reality, it was the drugs that kept me away from them because I just didn't, out of sight, out of mind. I didn't want to bring my problems to my family, let alone did I know that my drug addiction was the cause of me feeling that way. So, I would run the streets and I put myself in a lot of like messed up situations. Like, I think I overdosed the first time when I was 16 at a concert. And after that, it was like I almost died a few times from alcohol poisoning. I was very naive in my drug addiction. I thought, oh, everyone's in this drug world, so everybody's nice. It was far from that. They're just waiting for the opportunity to do me dirty. So when I would invite people to like stay at my house, little did I know that they had their own addiction and mental illness. They tried to kill me. They plotted on murdering me and had knives and gloves to kill me and my family. And that's because I was very naive in the drug world. I thought everybody was nice. Ooh, we're all doing drugs together. We're gonna have each other's back. It was far from that. All the people that I thought were my friends when I was doing drugs, they weren't. They were just there until the sack was done, and then they left. So that had a lot of to do with when and if I ever try to have a relationship. I've never really had a relationship, even that I'm almost 40 years old, because sex was something that was a hustle. Like, if I needed drugs, I'm gonna sleep with you. And so any intimate relationship that I could have or connection with somebody didn't happen because I thought they were nice to me because they just wanted to sleep with me. And I remember one time I walked in and they're like, oh, so this is the freak of the week. So that means they were gonna just pass me around, see whatever or whoever or whatever. When you start getting older in the drug world, they just push you off to the side for someone who's younger. So, that kind of caused me to be disassociated or just really not care. I was a really hateful person, very negative. I I would do my family dirty before I would do somebody in the streets because I thought, like I said, I was very naive. I thought they had my back. And when I mean dirty, I mean like I would steal from them, I would lie to them, I would do anything I can just to get the drugs that I wanted. And that affected my relationship with my family even more because anything that I said, it was a lie, making broken promises. And I was at the trap house, drunk off a bottle of tequila and overdosing off whatever else, so that just caused a lot of turmoil, I guess you could say, in my life. I never went to jail, but I was arrested multiple times, and I just was kind of like rebellious, like, oh, you're not going to tell me what to do, I'm a grown man. Well, I had lost that privilege of running my own life because I was out of control, I never broke into houses or nothing, but I was just really affiliated with a lot of people that sold drugs because I was around everywhere. I would literally walk myself to exhaustion so I wouldn't have any more energy to go get more drugs. And then when I did fall asleep, I'd fall asleep for about 2 to 3 days because my goal of getting high was I'm going to stay awake for a weeks on end. Because why do drugs if they're not going to keep you awake? And that kind of affected me even more because when I started getting into my recovery, all the emotions that I was supposed to be feeling that I was cutting off with using drugs came rushing towards me. So now I have depression and anxiety. And that was something that really overtook my life. When I got into my recovery, my family was very questionable about whether I was going to be true to my words of what I was saying. And I can't blame them. I gave them the reasons to feel that way. When I started getting into my recovery, my family was very iffy about actually believing me because of all the lies and all the deception and all of the broken promises, but the ones that really I affected was my nieces and my nephews because I would always make them promises and just have a really ugly attitude towards them. They'd ask me where are you going? I'm like, where you're not, what are you doing today? Don't worry about it. And so that's something that I really regret because, they were just little kids. They looked up to me and I was really ugly towards them. I do have one with them now because now that I've been in my recovery going on almost 7 years, opposed to 18 years of addiction, I've reestablished myself with them and we get along. I'm glad that I could be the uncle that they know now, opposed to the one that my older nieces and nephew had to be a part of. A lot of things have happened in my life since then and now. My grandma passed away and she was one of my biggest supporters, and then my oldest niece, she passed away a few years ago and she was 18 years old in a car accident, but that could have, the way that I see it, that would have been the perfect moment for me to go back into my addiction with the sadness and the depression and the PTSD, the trauma of showing up and seeing them pull her out of the vehicle all bloody, That could have been a reason for me to go and use again, but instead I use that as my motivation because the way that I was able to establish that relationship with my niece and build on that relationship again, that means more to me than any drug. And that's why I continue being in recovery and helping people because I don't want all those memories and stuff to be for nothing. I want it to be meaningful. I don't want it to erase from my mind or my heart because I'm on drugs again. I've been sober for almost 7 years and I don't have any felonies, I don't have a record, I'm able to do things now that I never thought I could do before. Because before I was very hopeless and the way that I saw it is that people were born with all these great opportunities and they had this good set to life and then you had the piles of crap that had to balance out the world. Well, I thought I was this pile of crap until somebody came to me and told me that I was worth more than drugs, and that I had a good heart, and that I was smart. And I actually had to take a step back and reflect on it, and then I started to believe it. Like, I am worth more than drugs, and I have a good heart. I'm super smart, but I had forgot about all that when I was in my addiction. So the way I see it is, the reason they have all of these things that they want is because they believe in themselves and they work towards that. So now that I'm in my recovery and I have the ability to think clearly, that I can do anything. And just like anybody, you know, if you believe in yourself, you can do anything that you want. You're worth more than drugs. You're worth more than running the streets. You're worth more than being used for sex or used to run drugs for people because they already have a record. Like, you're worth more than that. Thinking about it, reflecting about it, where I was to now, I never thought I would be sitting here. I thought I was gonna die to overdose on drugs. You know what I mean? When I stopped smoking meth, well, little did I know they were cutting it with pills. They were cutting it with heroin. So not only was I addicted to meth and had a drinking problem and addicted to marijuana, but then unknowingly was addicted to pills and heroin. And it was really a big impact in my life. That, you know, there is hope out there, and that the only person that's going to keep you back from anything is yourself. You know? The negative words and the bad things that people have said about you, they're not true. Because I used to think they were true, but they're not. I believed that I was better than what they said about me. But if I had somebody that told me that I could have more than what I thought I could back then, I would have never started.